Hello, I'm Dan Alexander. Thanks for joining me in another episode of my webcast. I hope you're wearing one of these. It's a crazy, crazy world out there. Stay safe and stay healthy. I'd like to talk to you for a moment about equipment modification. Um, Over the years, I have bought hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of pieces of equipment that have been modified. Uh, no doubt, the people who undertook the modifications thought they were going to improve the equipment. In the vast majority of cases, that simply was not true. Um, there are two aspects in conflict about the whole vintage equipment thing. On the one hand, you have people who use this stuff every day. These are tools that they use. And uh, as such, one would think that they would want their equipment to perform up to the original manufacturer's specifications. Um, when you look at an old tube U47, the original capacitors, if they're inside of it still, are 60 or 70 years old. And any technician who knows anything will tell you that 60 or 70-year-old caps generally are not within original spec. So what happens? The circuit is not functioning properly. It's not functioning as it was designed, and it's not functioning up to spec. On the other hand, you have the fact that currently these things have become collectible items. And if you know, I'm sure you do, guitar collectors, well, you know that they go insane if a screw has been changed on a tuning gear. So their philosophy would be to leave those basically non-functional components inside of those items, rendering them basically less than wonderful as recording tools. So when it comes to modification, of course, I have great relationships with a lot of technicians. They're highly respectable people. They're highly smart. They know a lot more than I do about a lot of stuff. And without them, the industry wouldn't exist. It's as simple as that. The equipment would all be broken, lying around useless, which is what it used to be when it came to vintage gear. That's just what it was. It was lying around useless and broken. Um, but there's a certain number of technicians who, with a great confidence in their own abilities, think that they can make things better. And sometimes they can, but mostly that isn't really true. And in the course of business in the last 40 years, I bought the contents of numerous shops of pretty large recording facilities, the Record Plant and several other studios and major studios in New York City. I bought the whole shop. And they came with a lot of equipment that had been modified out of all recognition and modified to the point where it just didn't work. and returning that stuff to stock, turn it back into functional, wonderful gear that people used all the time. So often, I mean, with hundreds of microphones, we have recapped them and returned the circuits to their original specifications, and that has returned them to full functionality. There are times when modifying equipment is a positive thing. For example, with a lot of older consoles, a lot of old Neves, for example, there's limited monitoring, there's limited aux sends, and modifying those things can often increase the flexibility and usability of the equipment. But I don't think that that really applies to a lot of pieces of outboard gear or microphones. And I don't know about you, it's an individual choice. I want a Neumann M49 to sound like a Neumann M49. I don't want it to sound like some souped up thing. I don't want to put a 450 horsepower Camaro engine in my 55 pink T-Bird. I don't know anything about cars, so maybe a 450 Camaro engine doesn't exist, but you know what I mean. And you know, I don't suggest repainting your Pultex pink or any other color that you might like. In order to preserve their market value, you want to leave them as original as possible. But if you want to use this equipment, it needs to be in, you know, functional condition. And I guess what one person thinks is functional can be different than others, but I think of it as being up to manufacturer's original specifications. I think that's really the bottom line. So, I mean, there are components, capacitors and resistors that are available today that are of different materials than ones that were made in 1935. And it may be, and I know nothing about this, but it may be that replacing some of those components and some older equipment with more modern components will make the specifications better. I don't think that replacing a 40-year-old capacitor with another 40-year-old capacitor is necessarily the best thing to do. So anyhow, the one last thing I would say about this is that I really wish the technicians would not put any kind of stickers on the outside of equipment, unless, for example, if you want to put something on the back of a piece of outboard gear, fine, I guess. Nobody's going to notice it. But too many times, these identification stickers, which serve as an advertising medium for the technicians that use them, deface and mar irrevocably the finish on the pieces of equipment that they're put on, and that's not okay. So stop doing that, will you please? I thank you for joining me, and do me a big favor and subscribe to my channel. That would be great. And I hope you'll check out some more of my videos. I'll be posting some more very soon. All right, thanks, and hey, stay safe, stay healthy. Crazy world, huh? All right, take care.